This is a story that I think you'll find very useful. And this is about what I call the positive command brain. Very important, and I don't know why we didn't learn this early in life, but today you're learning it. So here goes. What you think is what you get, like it or not. Let's try an experiment. Follow these instructions. Don't think about a hot fudge sundae. Don't think about that warm, rich chocolate melting over 2 scoops of your favorite kind of ice cream. Don't think about the large spoonful of whipped cream that's just been prepared in the kitchen. Don't think about a generous scoop of walnuts and delicious maple syrup. Don't think about a cherry on top with its stem still attached. Some of us are salivating now, planning to get up and go to the kitchen. Despite the fact that you were told not to think about it, you did. That's because we have a positive command brain. To understand what's being said, first, we must take the not out of the sentence and understand it as a positive statement. Think about a hot fudge sundae. Then we go back and insert the not, creating resistance to doing it. This is the thought, but don't do it. Awakened in the night, we hear a caller say, "Don't worry, nothing's wrong." But we immediately begin worrying, wondering what's wrong. My mother was a master misuser of the positive command brain. She knew how much I loved eating the thick chocolatey skin that formed on top of the pudding as it cooled in the refrigerator. She knew she could count on me to stick my finger in and scoop off that luscious skin. But she didn't realize that she was the very one who told me when to do it. Even if I didn't know that she'd made chocolate pudding, even if I hadn't seen it cooling, she'd march out of the kitchen and point her finger straight at me. "Now, Susan, don't you dare mess up the chocolate pudding that's cooling for dinner." Unfortunately, some of our positive command errors are not quite as innocent, causing much greater damage than just an ugly chocolate pudding. Don't play with matches. A sales manager at Kimberly-Clark told me a story. He and his wife had a babysitter for their 6-year-old son just before my seminar. As he left home, he heard his wife warn their son not to play with matches while they were out. She made him promise that he wouldn't. That was peculiar for her to do because their son was afraid of matches. He'd never even lit one, but they were late to meet their friends for dinner, and he didn't say anything. As they drove away, he asked his wife why in the world she had said that. And she said she'd seen a TV show that afternoon about children setting fires while staying with sitters. She was frightened by what she'd seen. It had stuck in her mind, and she kept seeing it over and over. So she felt she had to say something to her son. Her husband understood. But when they returned home, they found fire trucks on their lawn. Their son had followed her positive command. He had played with matches and set fire to the drapes. They rushed him to the hospital where he was being treated for serious burns. We have to be careful how we give instructions. Since the brain only operates in positive, we have to make sure as adults, as parents, as leaders, that we think of what is the positive instruction that we want to communicate. Rather than saying, "don't do," we have to say what we do want them to do. Takes a minute or two sometimes, or maybe even longer, but it's our responsibility as leaders, as people who influence other people's lives. I hope this story will have meaning for you, or you'll find situations in your life where it'll apply.